Oh, hi. Here I am. Hi. How's everybody? I'm in a new spot, so I'm going to make sure you can hear me. I'm going to try to get a little closer here. How's it going? Welcome to Frankenstein Tea. I'm Kristen. I work at the Island Free Library. I'm the director here, and I do a daily program of adult stories for adult listeners. Starts at 3 o'clock live on YouTube. Of course, it's available anytime for re-listening or re-watching if you so desire to watch me reading to you. But I do hope you listen, and I do hope you spread the word. I'm in a different spot because we're working on our Bloomsday program. It's a James Joyce celebration, and that will be presented on our YouTube channel this coming Tuesday, which is Bloomsday around the world, June 16th. That is the day that the main character in James Joyce's Ulysses goes out into the world of Dublin, and I think it's, 1,800, 700 something pages of Leopold Bloom scurrying around Dublin. Maybe that's not fair. Maybe scurrying isn't fair. I obviously don't know much about Bloomsday, but we do celebrate it every year at the library. This year it'll be virtual, so we're filming people reading from Ulysses, which is very traditional. You do read Ulysses. You sit around and you read James Joyce together. So in this time of COVID, we're not sitting around together, but we are filming different people reading James Joyce. So that's what's going on in my usual Frankenstein Tea studio. So here I am in the main reading room, and I hope you can hear me. I used to read from this seat, but I think it's too tall and maybe it's echoey, but this is what we have for today. So I hope it's working. Hi to my dad, he just signed on. I'm going to read something today. In fact, this author sat in this chair and read what I'm going to read to you. And I believe he follows us on Facebook. So I'm going to ask him flat out right now, Stephen Dunn, I'm reading your work today. I hope that's okay with you. I'm happy to share this author's work. He was a great guest speaker. What do we call that? We haven't had them in so long, I can't even tell you what that is. Author event. He did a great author event with us here at the library. And we have two of his books. This is Potted Meat, and this is Water and Power. And both are novels, right? And I read short stories here. I don't know that much. Oh, Potted Meat is the same. So maybe I'll read from Potted Meat at another time. They're a little bit set up that I can just kind of pull something out. Of course, it doesn't do total justice to his work and his literary style to do that, but I'm going to. And again, Stephen, I hope that's okay with you. So I'm going to share with you today something from Water and Power, a novel by Stephen Dunn. And I'm going to just show you quickly, if I can. Let me so this guy did this really cool format. It's like writing and maps and photos, and then he'll get to some point that he wants to make, and he'll find cartoons and illustrative representation of it. Very cool format this book is. He was a very exceptional author event. So kind of fun. And, I'm not going to do it the justice that it deserves, as I am a white woman and he is a Black man. And he wrote about, this is about his, it's not autobiographical, so it's not his experience, but he did write about the military and impressions from the military. And obviously then him reading it is a different experience, but I'm still going to give it a try here. So this is Stephen Dunn, Water and Power. Was published by Tarpaulin Sky Press in 2018. and I'm reading a piece called A Break from the Navy, Home on Leave. Let me have one sip of tea before that. Does everybody have tea? This Frankenstein tea. Oh, I just made mine. It's a little hot, but it's good. Okay, I hope you enjoy this today, Saturday, June 13th. Busy on Block Island today. Ferry came in this morning, very crowded. Not enough people wearing masks. Wear your masks. People are very upset about this, that you're not wearing masks. Wear your masks. Keep your social distance. We're we're glad you're here and we welcome you, but really, we need to wear masks. Very fragile here. Our medical center, our medical services, very limited. Be very tragic if we started to get sick en masse. Okay, so Water and Power, a novel by Stephen Dunn. This section is called A Break from the Navy, Home on Leave. No thinking about the Navy for 3 weeks. I can already taste my aunt's fried fish and my cousin's purple haze. At my folks' house, I hug my sisters and my mom and dad. Glad you made it home, my mom says. Thanks for protecting us. My sister rolls her eyes and points to a sticker on the refrigerator. Proud Navy Mom. I'm outside smoking cigarettes with my dad and his friends. One of his friends says, "You still in that army?" "No, I'm in the Navy." He says, "It's good you joined the army." I tried to get my boy to sign up, but that sorry-ass kid don't want to do shit but smoke dope and lay around with these no-good hoes. You should get him to join, he says. Tell him how much fun that Chinese you getting in Japan. Ain't you a spy? No, I say. Oh, he says, you'd have to kill us if you told us, huh? I stub out my cigarette and throw it into the garbage can because my mom just swept the sidewalk. My dad's friend says, Uncle Sam got that boy trained good. He don't leave no tracks behind. My dad says, y'all find that one motherfucker yet? No, I say. And y'all ain't gonna find him. He probably still in New York. I ain't believing shit that lying-ass news says. They know he ain't in no Zakistan, Krakistan. He ain't in known one of them goddamn stands. My mom sends me to the post office. In the post office, there is a wall of heroes with a photo of everyone from our town who is currently in or has been in the armed forces, even if they were kicked out for drugs or attempted suicides or check fraud or going AWOL. There is a photo of me from boot camp, the cheesy one with the soft gray background. I have on that silly white hat and a serious look on my child face. I snatch my picture down. I crumple it and toss it in the trash. Miss Alice walks in. How you been, baby? The army treating you good? Yes, ma'am. Reach up there and get my mail. I keep telling these darn folks to move my box down. They late again with my social security. Now I done seen a picture of you up on that wall. Where is it now? I'ma have to get your mama to talk to these folks, see if they can get a picture of you up there. All right now, you be good in that army and don't get kicked out like some of these snot-nosed hoodlums. They ain't worth a darn, taking drugs and all kinds of devilish mess. I walk outside and see Earl Jr. I act like I'm in a hurry, but he grabs my shoulders and hugs me. I see old Uncle Sam got you doing them push-ups, he says, making a man out of you. He punches me in the chest. God damn, almost broke my fist. I say, I gotta get back. Now hold on a minute, he says. Now your mama done told me you was on them submarines. Yeah, I say. I already knowed it. See, I was up there fishing, up there at Brewster Lake, and a submarine just bust up out of the water, scared all damn my fish off, and that's when I saw you, right there on that submarine. That night, I go to my friend's house. He invites a few more people over. I always say the same thing. What you all been up to? They always say the same thing. Nothing. You know, ain't shit to do around here. I should have joined the service too, but I ain't want nobody yelling in my face and telling me what to do. I give my friend 40 for the weed and open the bottle of Hennessy I bought. Our homegirl says, Mr. Military Man, making that good money. Terrell says, that easy money. That guy ain't out there grinding in the streets like us. My friend asks me about Japan. I tell him I love it, especially the food. Terrell says, I bet you that General Tao's be good as hell over there. That's Chinese food, I say. Uppity motherfucker, Terrell says. Move away and think they better than everybody. Anybody can join a fucking Navy. Shut the fuck up, my friend says. If it was so easy, why ain't you do it? 'Cause, Terrell says, I ain't joining some white man's military. Ain't nothing but poor folks dying for rich white folks. My friend passes me the joint. I hit it and pass it back. For real though, my friend says, how you like that shit? It's all right, I say. You don't like shooting motherfuckers and blowing shit up? Nope. You crazy, he says. I'd be blowing all types of shit up. On some real shit though, he says. It's a good thing you got from around here. This place is a fucking trap. Ain't nobody going nowhere. Milk that shit for all it's worth, man, and get the fuck out and do you. The next day, my cousin comes home because he heard I was home. He joined the Navy a few months before I did. He pulls up in a new blue Chevy with chrome rims and hops out with his uniform on. Some of our friends walk over and he gives everyone a dap and hugs them with his free arm. Some of the kids run over and give my cousin high fives. He gives them $5 each and tells them to go buy some candy, some good candy. His mother comes out smiling and hugs us. Thank the Lord. His dad follows. Look at these Navy men out there fighting the good fight. I know y'all gonna get them 20 years in. My cousin says, you know it. I say, maybe. Maybe my ass, my uncle says. You better do them 20 and get that pension. My cousin takes off his little white hat and sits on his tailgate. Brandon points to my cousin's chest. What's that for? He says it's a Naval Achievement Medal. I received it for being responsible for the operation and maintenance of missile launching sites and other ordnance equipment. That's some good shit right there, Brandon says. You doing your thing, homie. My cousin says, your mom told me to come down to the school. My mom is a cook at the elementary school. One cook's son joined the Marines. My last time here, my mom and the other lady bantered about which branch was better. The argument ended once the lady told my mom that all branches are important because they serve God and country. My cousin also wants to see our old principal. Why, I say. Because he made me realize that leading from the front is not a part-time job. It is what we must do every minute of every day we are called to serve. We walk into our principal's office. He stands and salutes and asks me why I'm wearing sweatpants. He says something about leading from the front. We walk through the halls and stop at each classroom to see my cousin's favorite teachers. They all smile and hug. The kids ooh and ah. In the kitchen, my mom and her coworkers make my cousin spin with his uniform on. They tell me to go get mine. I tell them I didn't bring it. I tell my friend that his dad wanted me to convince him to join the army. Fuck him, he says, and fuck the military. My sister told me she thought about signing up. I told her that men rape women too much in the military. She said, that's not special. It's the same thing happening out here. I asked a man at the strip club for a military discount. He said, anything for a hero. I asked a woman at the movie theater for a military discount. She said, what the fuck for? I think about not going back. Where else could I go? It doesn't matter. I can't go anywhere. So he wrote this book and he tells story and then he does these subject interviews. So this is a subject interview. Do you really think I'm going to sit here and let you interview me? I saw that story you wrote about you smoking weed. Why would you include something like that? You're making the Navy look bad. All I know is you'd better be careful. This country you so willingly insult is the reason you have the freedom of speech to write that stupid book of yours. This is the next subject interview. He's better than he used to be, but my brother has never been a very adventurous eater. When he was a kid, only wanted to eat meat, potatoes, and chocolate cake. This is maybe disgusting, but the way we used to split cans of chunky soup as kids was for him to pick all the vegetables, except for potatoes, out of his bowl and put them in mine, and then I'd scoop all of my meat into his. When he was in the Army, he said the food tastes like school cafeteria food, but I don't mind it. It was different when he was downrange. The food was too bland, even for him. When I sent care packages, they'd be full of Doritos and cigarettes. Does your sister think you're in jail? Someone asked. They had Afghan food night at the commissary, and he figured he'd try it out. He couldn't leave the Army base, and it was the only foreign country he'd ever been to, so it was the only way he'd really experienced the culture. It was awful, he said, just as bland as everything else, just as gray and miserable. When he was working overnights during Ramadan, the locals that worked on base would happen to break their fast at the same time he was having dinner. Someone had told him the food was better this time around, or he was feeling brave, or maybe the line was just the shortest. So he decided to give it another shot. It was glorious, he said, so delicious and perfectly seasoned, and unlike anything he'd ever had before in his life. My brother is one of those guys that people just like right away, the kind of guy who can make a person laugh while he's making fun of them. But he's shy about his military service. He didn't relate to a lot of the guys he was in the Army with. And now that he's out, he doesn't want people to think he's like that. You know, hateful or stupid or bigoted. When he got out, he started working at the same coffee shop where he'd worked before he left for basic training. And almost every day for lunch, he'd go to what he decided was the best halal cart. He'd always be the first in line, just shooting the shit with the guy who worked the cart while the oil heated so he could fry up the first falafel of the day. Tariq was just as friendly as he was, so my brother learned a lot about his life pretty quickly. He'd come here from Afghanistan via Pakistan because he had to flee the Taliban and was now working in this cart, but didn't own it. My brother didn't want to risk losing his favorite lunch by telling Tariq that he'd been to Afghanistan as an invader. So he mostly listened until one day when Tariq was gossiping about someone who wasn't as generous, not as hospitable as his people. And my brother asked, is that because he's not a Pushtun like you? Pashtun like you? You know my people? Tariq lit up. It was probably the first time my brother told someone who wasn't offering him a military discount that he'd been in the Army. There are a few Afghani restaurants here in Philly. 2 of them are on the same block and have been open for years and years. My brother had been wanting to go to one because he likes the food so much, but feels terrible about how he came to like the food. So it took probably a year after he left the military before he went. He took a date and told me that he was crying while stuffing lamb and rice into his mouth. He went back, this time with me and a few friends. It was a weeknight, and we were the only people in the place. It was lived in, a little crowded with decor, hadn't been updated since they opened in the early 90s. The food was wonderful, familiar, and mysterious all at once. The owner doted on us, and I asked my brother, who was crying again, if he was going to say something to him about why he liked Afghani food. Oh no, I don't know how he feels about what happened over there. I just want to keep eating here. Field notes. I've made a decision. I've made a decision to not say or feel that I serve. I will only say and feel that I work in the military. Work. I am trying to build a linguistic fence around myself. I do not serve, but I am going on deployment next week, and we will shoot missiles that will kill people. My fence is breaking down. I work in the military. I serve the military. Participation. Although I have declined numerous times, it is mandatory that I attend a career development board. 4 chiefs sit around a table and help me develop my career. So, petty officer, what can you do to advance? I'm not interested in advancing. Why not? I'm just not interested. Well, what are your long-range goals? To get out of the Navy. Okay, so what are your mid-range goals? To get out of the Navy. Well then, shipmate, what are your short-range goals? To get out of the Navy. But you have 6 years left. I read that a little wrong. This is what he says. Well, what are your long-range goals? To get out the Navy. Okay, so what are your mid-range goals? To get out the Navy. Well then, shipmate, what are your short-range goals? To get out the Navy. But you have 6 years left. Field notes. In terms of consideration to reach my short-range goals. Crossed out. Don't clean my system out the next time I get high. Crossed out. Punch an officer in the face. Not crossed out. Get fat and fail 3 consecutive PT tests. Not crossed out. Study really hard in order to miss every answer on advancement exams. Crossed out. Get 3 DUIs. Crossed out. Go AWOL. Crossed out. Disobey direct orders and shit. Not crossed out. Kiss another man at work. Damn, I can't do some of those because I'll get a dishonorable discharge, and I need to get out on an honorable or administrative because I still want my GI Bill. Plus, it's hard to get a job if they see you had a dishonorable. You can't even work at the fucking post office with a dishonorable. That was a few pieces. That was a consecutive chunk from Stephen Dunn's Water and Power, published by Tarpaulin Sky Press in 2018. Stephen Dunn was a guest here at the Island Free Library for an author event. He really fell in love with Block Island and hopes to return someday with his wife and kids. Maybe we can all join him for an author event. I hope you enjoyed Frankenstein Tea today. I'll be back tomorrow at 3 p.m. with another story. It'll be Sunday, and I'll most likely be reading from home. Thanks for coming today. Have a good afternoon.